In the harsh badlands of Montana, a creature no one has ever seen before is unearthed. From the very moment of discovery, dinosaur experts struggle with the question of its identity. Looking for answers as to how this animal lived and died, they set out on a quest to solve an ancient puzzle.
What is this animal?
This is the Rosetta Stone of meat-eating dinosaurs.
And there is no such a thing as a Rosetta Stone in science.
This is an exploration full of intrigue and uncertainty. What seems obvious one moment isn't so the next. What impact will this creature have, and what secrets will it reveal that could change paleontology forever? Follow the adventure of one of the most remarkable scientific finds of the last century. Follow us on the trail of the Mystery Dinosaur. Millions of years before man will walk the earth, the death of this creature sets the stage for a modern-day controversy. In the rugged, fossil-rich terrain of the Hell Creek Formation, a team of mostly amateur paleontologists who have never been in the field before are nearly out of time. It is the last day of their 2-week expedition, and they have little to show for their efforts. But luck is on their side when 2 members of the group find several toe bones and lower extremities from a carnivorous dinosaur.
Well, right now all that we really know about it is that it's a meat-eating dinosaur, a theropod. From the build of the bones, we believe it's something lightly built, something that was probably a pretty fast runner. But we really don't know beyond that what kind of meat-eating dinosaur that we're dealing with.
At first, the team believes they may have found a Tyrannosaurus rex, but the slightness of the bones baffles them.
Basically what we're doing is winterizing this site, getting the bones ready. We're giving them a good thick coat of Vinac. Vinac is polyvinyl acetate crystals and an acetone mixture that preserves the bones. We'll cover them with foil, replace the overburden that we've removed, and come back in the spring and hope for the best.
Because they've run out of time and it's late in the dig season, the team must weatherproof the bones and reluctantly leave them, anxious to return the following year. Working quickly and efficiently is of the essence as they prepare the site for the harsh Montana winter. Today, the conditions in southeastern Montana are barren and inhospitable, but it was not always this way.
In the late Cretaceous, Montana was a very lush, temperate tropical environment, much more like the Gulf Coast states we see now, Florida in particular. There were ferns and cycads and sequoias and some other primitive plants. We also see fossil crocodiles, fossil turtles, fossil rays and skates, so things that you don't see now, and things that we can see by interpreting the fossil record.
These lush settings were an ideal habitat for a myriad of animals, including dinosaurs. But it wouldn't last. In May 2002, the crew returns to excavate the skeleton. Paleontology has a rich history of amateurs finding important fossils, and this was no exception. As one of the volunteers, Carol Tuck remembers how she ended up with the group that made the discovery.
My husband decided we were going on the dig out to Montana, and I wasn't opposed to it, but it wasn't my kind of trip. I was a little leery about, you know, what it was going to be like. It ended up being really a lot of fun, and it was an interesting group of people.
The team includes an assortment of participants from varied backgrounds, each hoping to gain hands-on experience working in the field. These volunteers are equipped with curiosity and enthusiasm, though most with no expertise in science. Their goal is to find a significant fossil to take back to their museum. Little do they know, the odds are heavily stacked against them.
So we returned to the dig site in the summer. I had 12 volunteers with me who had never dug for dinosaur bones before. We spent 3 solid weeks using picks and shovels, working our way down through 12 feet of overburden to the bone-bearing layer.
Well, that 3 weeks' time told us one thing, that this was not fun work. This was kind of the miserable part of it. We had extreme temperatures, long days, people were getting tired, people were getting frustrated, and we thought there's got to be a quicker, a faster way, an easier way to do this. And we found one.
The team uses a backhoe to carefully remove excess earth from around the site. Now they have a clear path to where the bones are buried.
Once we got it there, things really quickened. I mean, we were able to get down to the bone layer, we were able to see what we had and start working with picks and awls and really trying to figure out how much of this animal we had, because that was the million-dollar question.
As they continue to remove earth from around the skeleton, they believe they may have found something fairly complete, though they are cautiously optimistic.
So we got down to the bone-bearing layer, and things were looking pretty good for us at that point. We had a lot of bones. It looked like we had most of a dinosaur skeleton preserved at the site, but we weren't sure what kind of dinosaur this was, what kind of skeleton we had.
Mike had yet to realize what an exceptional find he and his team had made, and that it would be a long time before he or anyone else could positively identify the creature they had uncovered. Great care is taken in preparing this animal for its first move in millions of years.
All right, we have about 8 meters this way, 2 meters out. All right, Helmut, if you can hand me the tape. Start walking outwards.
The uncovered bones are treated using a method that has changed little over the past century. The exposed area is covered with foil, followed by multiple layers of burlap soaked in plaster. This process forms a durable, protective cast. Wood framing is then added to make transportation in this remote region possible. While some of the bones, including vertebrae, the lower right jaw, and several foot bones, are jacketed and transported separately, most of the remains of the dinosaur are contained in a 4,000-pound chunk of rock called the pod. It would be difficult and time-consuming to remove the bones individually, as they are buried so closely together, some right on top of each other. The decision is made to remove as much of the specimen as possible in this one large piece to avoid damaging the skeleton. Eventually, the pod makes its way to a flatbed and then a moving truck en route to its new home.
We gave the specimen a field identification or field name of Nanotyrannuslensis, a very rare and controversial dinosaur. We based this field identification on similarities we saw in the tooth shape and tooth structure, as well as skull bones that were similar to this Nanotyrannus, this so-called pygmy tyrant. This is one of the rarest dinosaurs ever found.
The team has hit the jackpot, or so it seems. This animal could very well be the elusive Nanotyrannus, or it could be something equally as rare, a juvenile T-Rex. Now the journey for both the dinosaur and the crew who found it is about to take some unexpected turns. This is Rockford, Illinois, located on the Rock River 90 miles west of Chicago. Since 1941, The Burpee Museum of Natural History has remained a cultural focal point in this community. As the museum prepares for its arrival, Rockford welcomes and embraces this exciting dinosaur, now known as Jane, named for a museum benefactor.
This is Rockford's dinosaur. Rockford people found it.
Well, Rockford's never seen anything like Jane before, and I think what Jane has done for Rockford is help give this community a little bit of faith in itself.
Suddenly, this modest museum becomes a destination for paleontologists and dinosaur enthusiasts from around the world.
Oh, you wouldn't believe how excited I was when I saw these bones.
And this is one of the top specimens of a carnivorous dinosaur to come out of the late Cretaceous.
Amidst the fanfare, a long-standing controversy is reignited. Is this a Nanotyrannus or a juvenile T-Rex? For years, they have been listed as separate species on the dinosaur family tree, but there are some who believe they are the same animal.
In 1941, the Cleveland Museum of Natural History collected a small tyrannosaurid skull in southeastern Montana. Now, this single skull has sparked a lot of debate and controversy over the last 60 years. It's gone through several name changes and redescriptions. In the late 1980s, it was named Nanotyrannus lencensis, the pygmy tyrant. Well, that name hung for about 10 years when it was redescribed as a juvenile Tyrannosaurus rex. But the interesting thing is that these paleontologists were arguing over one skull of one specimen. And really, that's why we're excited about Jane, is because Jane has the potential to have so much more material for all these paleontologists to argue about.
My first impression of the bones of Jane, which I've just had a chance to see, is that it is likely going to solve the riddle of Nanotyrannus.
It's complete enough, there's enough of the specimen there that you have a very good chance that you're going to resolve the whole problem of whether Nanotyrannus and Tyrannosaurus rex are the same animals or not.
Finding itself at the center of a scientific firestorm, the Burpee Museum sponsors the Great Dinosaur Debate in an effort to present all sides of this controversy.
To great, big, thick crunchers. This would have to happen, correct? All right. Reduced tooth count and great fat teeth.
I've been writing up the morphology of Tyrannosaur teeth, and teeth are so labor intensive that I have no problem saying that I hate teeth. I'd rather have a skull.
Why is this the first Nanotyrannus skeleton that's been found? Because Nanotyrannus is a smaller dinosaur. Smaller dinosaurs there's a preservation bias in the Hell Creek. Sedimentation was not very rapid in the areas where we collect. Therefore, not very many fossils get preserved. If you're something as big as a T-Rex, it takes a really big flood to wash your bones away.
Dinosaurs go through changes that are astonishing compared to living mammals or living birds. I mean, an adult T-Rex is a 6-ton animal, and yet it came out of an egg that's not much bigger than this.
Very little is known about dinosaur ontogeny, a term that describes the changes in body form that occur with growth. This is especially vague with regard to the Nanotyrannus juvenile T-Rex controversy, because in either case, Jane is the only skeleton ever found.
The similarities between Jane and the Cleveland skull may be related to growth, and they may still both be juvenile T-Rex.
Even though most of the bones haven't been exposed yet, this skeleton has already posed many questions. With Jane's identity in doubt, it becomes obvious that it's time to take a closer look at all the evidence at hand. Whatever lies within the pod is ready to emerge. Now the real work begins. The plaster jacket is opened, and the team carefully sifts through the Montana sand and rock called matrix.
It's trending down. I think we'll just be at the surface of it, looks like. Because I don't see any bone. Yeah, I don't see any bone there either. There you are. There it is. It's not going up there. Yeah, it is, a little bit. No,
the question remains, will the evidence within the pod reveal Jane's identity, and in doing so, solve one of the oldest mysteries in paleontology?
Houston, we have bones.
How did you go? Where we cut it off open and everything?
Like CSI for the Ancients, the team uses good old-fashioned detective work to process the voluminous evidence before them. While painstaking, this approach will take them one step closer to solving this mystery.
Who knows what happened to the top of it? So it's right here. So I'm just going to set it up.
A webcam, or dinocam as it's called, gives outsiders the opportunity to witness this progress in real time as Jane is slowly revealed. Meanwhile, innovative techniques in fossil recovery and reconstruction are implemented in the museum's preparation lab. For example, an air abrasion unit uses baking soda to gently remove debris from specimens too delicate to work on with conventional tools.
That could be
Each bone seems to have a story, or is part of a greater one.
I'm wrong, but doesn't it seem a little bit long proportionally to be a finger bone to a Tyrannosaurus rex?
If that's Jane's finger bone, she had very long fingers. And that could be important because if they're longer than in a Tyrannosaurus rex, it may mean we're dealing with another kind of animal. So I think that's a very important bone. That's a good discovery.
So would you care if I gave
Seeking
Dr.
expert
Carter, Dr.
advice,
Bacher,
they learn
and
that this
take a
finger
look at it?
bone is actually a toe bone.
So these are the kind of things that sometimes happen in paleontology, and you know, we're only human.
Because of the importance and rarity of Jane's skeleton, a special set of two-part molds are created. First, a clay base is built around each of the most important bones. Silicone rubber is poured to make the mold. This liquid gets into every crack and crevice, and when set, becomes an exact replica. Hard plastic casts are then made. Burrs and edges are cleaned so that the reproduction can be handled and studied in place of the actual specimen. These will be sent to scientists all over the world.
As we were uncovering Jane's skeleton, we realized that the bones were in their natural relationship to each other. That is, they were in articulation. And what that implies is that Jane's body was buried relatively soon after she died. There wasn't a lot of time for scavengers to come in and tear her body apart.
For Jane's body to be buried quickly, she would need to have died near a water source like a river or a stream. As rigor mortis set in, her ligaments tightened, pulling her body into what is called the classic dinosaur death pose. Head and tail curved toward each other. Soon afterwards, rain flooded the water source, which washed sediment over Jane's dead body and protected it from scavengers. This process blanketed and shielded her bones, which became fossilized over millions of years until erosion finally exposed her.
Jane was preserved in the Hell Creek Formation, which is a good thing because we have some of the most superb preservation in any dinosaur fossil in Jane's bones.
Over time, the team is finding that this dinosaur is one of the most intact tyrannosaurs ever found. With only minor bones missing from the ribs, tail, and lower extremities, she is nearly complete. One aspect of her identity, her gender, is something that science is unable to determine at this time, though theories exist. Back at the dig site, more information is being uncovered about this dinosaur and the environment in which she lived.
What I'm doing here is I'm uncovering a plant layer